Hey folks, thanks for joining us again. Today we're going to continue our trip up the North Sea with Explorers of the North Sea. Now this is a tile placement game with little boats, and I am excited to show you this one.
I'm excited to see it. It definitely looks playful.
Looks playful and toys. Different.
Yep.
It's different. We're going to put that out right now. Okay, we just played Explorers of the North Sea, and it is, like I said, quite a different game.
It's a very different game, yes. Yep.
This is a tile placement game where you're placing tiles and taking actions. Mm-hmm. You're exploring, you're gathering animals, like a set collection, mm-hmm. I guess. A lot of set collection, really.
Definitely a set collecting thing. There's at least 3 different types of set collection if you include the Viking deaths that you get from doing all your hard pillaging against the other pirate ships around.
And pick up and deliver is a mechanism mm-hmm. in this too, because you're gathering, to some degree, you're gathering animals up and bringing them back. Occasionally you'll run over a pirate or enemy ship and it get a few points from that.
And you even have some area control, but we played a 2-player game, obviously, and so it seems like you're not going to have nearly as much interaction, direct competition with each other in a 2-player, unless you're just playing with somebody that really likes to go straight. Because there was a moment or two in the beginning where I was like, is it going to be worth it for me to just start jumping after Sean? But it didn't seem really like it was. It seemed like it was kind of better to just go my own path, especially with the tiles that I was drawing.
Yeah, with a 2-player game, you can very easily just really not interact a whole lot and go off that way, and I go off this way. I think if this had been a 4-player game, mm-hmm. I have not played this at like 3 players, so I'm really curious to see just how cutthroat. Mm-hmm. I think that this game would get really super cutthroat.
It could be quite a bit different, though. I guess so. If you play in a higher player count, it's the same amount of tiles either way. Mm-hmm. But if you're playing in a 4-player game, you're going to have 2 other people running through this same space that we have out. So instead of having this whole part over here to myself, I would be sharing it with at least one other person going and getting all those things. Yeah, because basically with Sean's tiles that he was drawing and his overall strategy was mostly based around taking out all of these little villages and raiding. So he got most of his points from raiding, right? And,
just because that's what tiles come
mm-hmm.
out,
mm-hmm.
you know.
And you built some bigger islands than I did too, which just happened to be the way that it worked out for you. But mine, I wasn't getting hardly any. I got just a few of the villages to even be able to raid. I think, I only put down 2 of them. So I just stayed on the strategy of I'm just going to get animals and then just focused on that, because almost every one of my tiles was showing up with animals on it, and so I went one way, he went another way, and then literally on the map, you were going to the right and I was to the left. Yeah. So we just kind of stayed out of each other's way. But
so this is the second game we've played in the evening, mm-hmm. and after work. So we're kind of tired. Well, you didn't work today.
Yeah,
you worked out.
I had a day off. I didn't even do that today.
But it felt a lot faster. It feels like a little bit faster game. I don't know. What do you think? Was it about the same amount of time? Or?
No, I would say that. Are you talking about comparing this to
the shipwrights?
I think there's more going on in this one, just mentally, visually, mentally, that makes it seem like it's a little faster. Where shipwrights, there's less that you're really trying to accomplish, and so it feels like a little. You're doing the same thing the whole time on that one. This one, you've got kind of new, exciting. You don't know there's a little bit more excitement and explorers, and so I would say that we didn't time ourselves, but I would say it probably was about the same amount of time. But this didn't feel like it dragged as long because of the different things that you could do in it.
Yeah.
Kept it as a little bit more mentally stimulating in that way, I think. I felt like it was anyways. And if you've ever played Tiny Epic Pirates, it definitely has a vibe that's kind of similar to Tiny Epic Pirates with the pick up and deliver and even this tile play. I mean, you're not placing tiles out on Tiny Epic Pirates when you're placing out those cards. You form all these little. There's all these little islands that are being formed by the corners of the cards and everything. And so when you place this out, you also have a bunch of little islands that you may be trying to run to this one and that one to pick this thing up and that thing up, just like you would on Tiny Epic Pirates.
Well, what's funny is half of this game reminds me of Tiny Epic Pirates, and the other half of this game reminds me of Land versus Sea, which is another dueling game where one person tries to make little pockets of ocean and the other person tries to make little pockets of land.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And the land part works very much the same way, where you're trying to close it off, and create solid pieces with water all the way around it, and vice versa. So
yeah, I haven't gotten to play that one yet.
But that's another one. That's another one for a future video. But and the little animals on it are kind of neat. Like I like all the little animal meeples and stuff. And there's not a lot of them. They're just the perfect amount for how many tiles we've got.
Yeah, that I felt like that also because you can see the number of animals that are out there as you're playing. So when you run into a horse or a cow, that's an extra limited. Hard to those are. I think there's only 3 of each of those. So I knew when I saw one of those, I was like, I better hurry up and grab this thing and get it back before I miss out on it. If I want to do because you get a lot more points if you get a full set of 6 different livestock than you would if you just got a bunch of pigs and goats, for example.
I think the first game sometimes it's a little hard to tell some of the animals apart. Like the cows and the horses look kind of similar. Yeah. If you look real close on the art, you can, especially if you've got the 2 to compare them to, you can tell for sure.
Yeah, I would say probably the closest looking ones are maybe the goats and cows just in color. But if you just go off of the color, as long as you're not colorblind or something, then you can tell them fairly well. But I had one cow that I was like, this looks just like a horse with udders. And he's like, well, it's black. And I was like, oh, because the cows are black and the horses are brown, so that was one way to tell them apart.
Yeah. And it's funny. So yeah, this game is definitely it's lighter than the Shipwrights. Like I think it was this. I felt like there's a lot. This was a lot more, at least intuitive. Maybe it's just I like this type of game more, but I felt like this was a little bit more intuitive than the other game as far as like being easy to play and accessible and stuff.
Yeah, maybe not as hard of decisions. With Shipwrights, you need to kind of plan out a little bit more, and you're certainly having more of that kind of take that thing that's going on in Shipwrights, where even if you are getting in each other's way with the area control, if you see somebody finishes a big island on this game and you're trying to get in there and take that over by throwing down a couple outposts and leaving a person there or whatever, you're never actually like attacking directly. On Shipwrights, you do have cards where you're directly attacking the other person, trying to sabotage their boat. What do you call the boat yards? I guess.
Yeah.
So you're trying to go sabotage the boat yards and even assassinate people. So there's definitely that going on.
Taking out your artisan crafters and stuff. Yeah,
a lot more direct competition in Shipwrights.
That's true. I mean, especially at this player count, this particular game, there's doesn't have to be any interaction at all. 3 or 4 players, though, but I bet it'll be different. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. I would definitely play it again too. At that, I found it's kind of a peaceful feeling game though too. Like it feels like I was more relaxed in this one, I would say, than playing Shipwrights, and definitely Raiders. I mean, Raiders is the more intense game to play out of the series.
It is.
Where there's a lot of competition going on in Raiders, and just the Vikings and the boats and the water. You do definitely feel the strong tie-in, but they are absolutely different games.
Oh yeah. I gotta say, I love this game. I love the toy factor of this game. This is the kind of thing that really appeals to me. Now, there's a lot of stuff that I like about Raiders, And that's the next game we're going to play is the Raiders of the North Sea. We're going to wrap up this series. But I thought that this was really neat. How did you feel about this one just compared to the last one?
Well, I would put it at a higher rating than Shipwrights. I think I would. It's hard to say. Like, would you prefer to play this one over Ship? They're very different games again, and so you're having to say, like, do you want to play this style of game, or do you want to play the style that Shipwrights is? And I could see times where I would want to play. I wouldn't want to just play one of them constantly. So it's not like I wouldn't want to just keep playing Explorers and then like never play a game like Shipwrights. If I had, especially both in the series, it'd be nice to just cycle through them. But otherwise, if I had to pick one over the other, and I had played them fairly equal amount of times, I would say I would pick this.
What's cool too is these are fun and different enough to sit and play in a row and not feel like you're playing the same game all night long.
Right.
I mean, you're in the same universe. You got a lot of the same artwork and stuff, but you're not playing the same game. So you could do a game night where you're just kind of going through all 3 boxes, and that'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and a lot of people like to play 3 games in a row, and that's a good solid game night. And you could say we're going to have a solid game night as Vikings, and bring your horn hats out and whatever else that you and your Viking mugs and your and just have a Viking filled evening on a water themed placement mat here.
Yeah, it's neat that I think it's a good idea to mix things up, and I like that they made these games so different from one another, but kept the same art.
Yeah.
To me, it looks like when he went to make Shipwrights, he bought all of this art, and then they're like, okay, how many ways can we repurpose this?
Yeah. But I actually, that was one thing I do appreciate about the game, is that as you're playing through, you're like, oh, I recognize that character from you feel that tie-in.
Yeah.
Even though you could see it as though it was like almost like a cheap way to just reuse the art, but to me, I actually do appreciate the way that it does feel like you're tying in. Like, oh, I remember buying her to go do a raid in Raiders, and now she's helping me out building ships, and so it's kind of fun that way. I like
Usually,
that.
I'm getting extra points for my outpost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is neat. It's almost kind of like a built-in nostalgia for.
Yeah,
for
exactly. Yeah, it does feel like it's nostalgic in that sense. So that's a good way to say it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be back. I get the last one of the series is Raiders. We're going to play that again, kind of refresh our memories. We both love that game, but we're going to play it again anyway, because that's what you do when you like games a lot.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll come back and talk to you about that. That's coming up. Don't miss it. Subscribe to see more. If you like this video, click like. It really helps a lot, and we really appreciate it. Comment and tell me if this is the game that you like a lot, or if you like maybe one of the other ones a lot. Let me know, and we'll see you soon. Have a good day. Enjoy your games.
Take care.